Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I have Pepper with me.
Hello.
How you doing, Pepper?
Allergies.
Oh, yeah. Seasonal change.
Ugh.
I'm with
Not
you.
just seasonal change. We had like a windstorm thing, so we had to bring in like a bunch of our Halloween decorations. And then we couldn't put them back out. And then this morning, I'm just putting out the trash cans, and I sneezed up a storm. Ugh.
Then you had to bring in all of your Halloween decorations again because you caused a storm,
I know, right?
right?
It's just a vicious cycle.
It's a vicious cycle.
Like owning a Roomba or an iRobot vacuum thing. Because it doesn't even know if you're dead, so eventually it'll just vacuum you up if you just die on the floor.
You know, never really thought of that, but you're right. After a while, the Roomba would just keep vacuuming you up
Yeah,
as you slowly deteriorate.
I know, right?
It'd be sort of a sad end to your life.
It'd be a sad, yeah, it would definitely be a sad thing. But I'm like severely behind on my October project, so I'm trying to play catch up. How's everything else with you?
Doing fine. I'm working on animations for the
School?
for the school. Yeah, and I'm like looking at trying to add animate or to add arrows, and I'm like, and it's like doing the man. You really can't. And I'm like, fine, I'll just make an arrow over here.
Gotcha.
It doesn't need to be 10,000, just 1,000. And I'll just make an arrow, and then we don't have to worry about it. I'm like sitting here trying to figure out, and they're like, well, do this, click this, then click this, then click this, then click that. And I'm like, or I'll just make a freaking arrow.
That works.
Right? I mean, like, oh, you know, if I do it this way, though. There we go. No. Don't run away. There we go.
No, run away! Run away!
Right? Like, no, don't do that. Make it green. A green arrow. So I went to the doctor yesterday. And
when you tell everyone that you're dying.
I'm dying. Well, I mean, I guess technically we all are. My dad used to do that joke all the time. He'd cough or something. I'd be like, "You gonna make it?" And he's like, "Not in the long run." Yeah, well.
Alrighty.
Sadder now that he is actually gone. It's a slightly sadder statement to make, however. The thing about my dad is that he's gone, but we knew it was coming and everything like that, so we had time to kind of brace for it. And our family is sort of morbid in a way, and like death is just part of life, sort of stuff. So might as well make jokes about it in an ironic sort of way too, kind of thing. Has always been that way.
I mean, anyway, I can relate to that due to the fact that, you know, my own family makes death jokes too. So
yeah, it's the thing. I would much rather, after I have left this earthly plane, that folks make wisecracks about it too. It's just better all the way around.
Hey,
My
my grandmother's funeral alone. We went to back to my grandparents' house, and they turned on the and at the wake they turned on the the football game for that
Hey,
Sunday.
hey, man, my wake. You better be watching Star Trek. You'll be all bitter if you don't. I'll haunt you. Don't think I won't haunt you.
Okay, I mean that goes without saying.
Yeah.
But that your doctor's visit will say
Oh
whether or
yeah.
not you're dying on us.
So doctor's visit. So yeah, I went to the doctor and I was saying, I think I've got um, psoriatic arthritis. And he was like, okay, what makes you say that? You know, kind of like you WebMD'd yourself, didn't you? You know, you could totally see it. That was what he was thinking, you know. And I said, well, and I told him I'd been exercising for 8 months and I still can't touch my toes. And I said, after 8 months of 3 times a day stretching my hamstrings, I should be able to touch my toes by now, at least get near them, but I'm not actually any better than I was before. And so it was kind of one of those things where he was kind of like, okay. And really, you can kind of tell that what he was thinking was, you just didn't actually exercise. So,
Well, and that's the traditional trajectory when you're overweight and you're in a doctor's office. That's the
yeah,
way
they,
it's thinking.
they
Doesn't
just
matter.
assume, yeah, they
Yeah,
assume
it's
that.
assumed.
So,
Uh,
anyway, yeah, and that makes some sense. I mean, I understand that. I get that. I follow.
it's not right though.
It isn't, but I understand it. I at least comprehend where they're going. So, um, anyway, so it was interesting because uh, then he was talking to me, and we were going through this, and I was explaining the whole thing. And here, I put a necessary arrow now. So, okay. Um, sorry, I'm doing the thing where I'm doing arrows here, and so it's kind of thinking it in. Anyway, let me explain the story because otherwise I'm not going to be able to do work and explain the story at the same time. So I told him about all the symptoms and everything like that, and he's like, okay, but do you have psoriasis? And I was like, yes. And he's like, really? And he goes, show me. So I pulled up my leg, and like on my right leg from the top of my knee down to about mid calf is all one big red patch, right? And has been for, I don't know, 10 years now. So you don't usually see it because I don't usually wear shorts or anything like that. So it's not a problem. But this patch, like this patch on my elbow, comes and goes. The little patches on my arm come and go, and the ones on my face come and go. But that one on my leg has been there forever. And he looked at it and he went, holy shit, you got psoriatic arthritis. He's like, this explains so much. I've been trying to figure out where the cramps are coming from, and I can't figure that out. And I've been trying, and now I understand. You've got a real problem with inflammation of your joints. This is something. He said the greatest part about this is we can put you on medication that will get rid of this. And I'm like, oh, you know. But it was very funny. He was like, it so totally started with, okay, you know.
My question for you is, how did your doctor, knowing you this long, not put the clues together?
So he had even said that. He said, I am so sorry we never thought of this before. And I said, the truth of the matter is, my dad has had psoriasis all of my life. And he told me when I was 14, he said, hey, it's hereditary. And odds are good you're going to get it too, and I'm so sorry. You know, that's what when
Yeah.
I was 14. So I've had this entire time to get acclimated and adjusted to it. And so telling my doctor, who is a relatively new doctor to my world, I just joined this practice recently.
Okay, so that makes
So
more
I
sense.
never told him because that's kind of like going up to your doctor and going, I have to tell you something. I pee once a day. You know what I mean? Like the doctor would be like, and your point. You know, from my point of view, telling you I have psoriasis is like you saying, I have to tell you something. I have blue eyes. You know what I mean? Okay. Or whatever. I have brown eyes. You know, it's like, what? Okay. Is it a
You don't
problem?
have brown eyes. I've seen your eyes.
Yep. Well, I wasn't necessarily talking about you per se, but okay. Anyway,
No, I
so,
said that you don't have brown eyes, not me.
oh, I don't know what you were saying, so I wasn't. Anyway,
It's
I have
alright.
blue eyes, theoretically.
Theoretically, yes. They look blue.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think they're blue. They still look blue to me,
Well, I mean, unless they change color, I'll let you know.
right? If they change color, tell me. All of a sudden, my eyes change color. I
And
know people whose eyes do change color. Mine don't. Mine have always been just blue. I had a girlfriend in high school who swore that they changed color, but they really don't. She was just infatuated and thought it was,
like your eyes change color?
yeah, that my eyes changed color. She swore that they did, and I'm okay.
Well, okay, so my sisters and I, well, not so much me. Like when I was younger, yes. Nowadays, they're pretty standard. But my sisters who have blue eyes, um, they get their eye color from my dad, and
Right,
my dad's eye color is like a silvery blue gray. And what happens to them is like certain moods or certain things that they wear make their eyes less blue, sometimes turns green, makes them more blue depending on mood, what they're wearing, what's in the environment, if they're sick. So like they fluctuate from blue to green back and forth. But the green is like a very subtle green. It's like a bluish green. So you really don't see that. Like my eye color used to do that, and
right.
then for some unknown reason, when I turned like 4, my eye color changed from my dad's color to some weird color, and it's never. So like my fluctuations went from that method to green and brown. So
Yeah.
like there's pictures that I have that my eye color looks like brown, and then it's super weird. But yeah, I got questions in junior high and in high school about asking me like what my eye color was, because people would look at me and then all of a sudden they were like, "Does he have brown eyes?" And someone actually asked me one time, and I was just like, "No, no." But apparently that day they were brown to everyone. So go figure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, eye color can change. It
Yeah.
just
Oh yeah.
depends
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
on you know what person.
It totally does. Just doesn't on me. I mean, I guess I like my eyes will be bluer or not depending on whether I'm wearing blue. But I think that has everything to do with perception, not my eye color actually physically changing. If you were to crop my head, you know, each time you'd be like, I'm wearing a brown shirt and my eyes are kind of a dull gray, and then I'm wearing a blue shirt and my eyes are a bright blue. But if you crop my head in both pictures, they'd both be the same color. You know,
Yeah, no, the green one though, like one of my sisters, her eyes turned green when she wore green.
Yeah.
That's one thing. But like when she was wearing a red shirt one day, her eyes turned green because she was sick.
Yeah, that's a different story. My eyes do not
Yeah,
change color at all.
yeah,
My
like
dad had interesting eyes because he had brown eyes with a light colored ring around the outside, which was kind of cool. And I never noticed them until I was older, until both he and I were older, because his hair was so black and dark. When his hair turned white, I realized he had these lighter rings on the outside, and I actually thought he had cataracts or something. He's like, no, those have been my eyes forever. Okay.
yeah,
But I didn't notice until his hair turned white, when it was easier to see because his hair was black and he had a black beard, and you know what I mean, like, and he had kind of a ruddy complexion, so much dark in his face that I didn't see that until everything turned white, and then I was like, hey. Me and my bouncy cars. Meow, 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 meow. A lot of questions going on over here.
someone demanding scritches.
Yeah, right? You're demanding scritches again? Scritch demanding animal. Me? Me? Yeah. If you come up here, you'll get scritches. You don't want to come up here. That's okay. That's up to you, man. I don't know what that was.
Cat down.
Right? There we go. There's no crosswalk or sidewalk. You can stop in line with the street. We can see that there are no sidewalks, so we can stop at the street. There we go. I think that's very clear. I feel like that's a very clear animation. Let's roll it out. Lots of arrows.
All
Put
of
in
a
a
sudden
whole
you
bunch of
roll
arrows.
it out, and all of a sudden you roll it out, and everything is going up and down instead of following the arrows.
Yep. That's what I want. Is an arrow there. One of my arrows. They fixed one of the stupid problems that I've had for a long time. Which is you would copy something and paste it, and when it did, it always put it on track 1. It didn't matter whether there was video there or not. So it would just stick it in the middle of the video and punch a hole in the video. And I was like, really? They finally fixed that now. Stopped punching holes in video.
Are you talking about Premiere?
Yeah. Man, that was so aggravating.
I actually played with that feature in Premiere. Like, I went into the settings.
Uh-oh. I feel like we're locked up for reasons.
Switch tasks.
Well, it's just not changing the color of this text, and it's also not allowing me to change its size. I'm going to go edit it now for reasons. Nope. Fine. Oh, I'm also not allowed to delete it. That's cool. There we go. Now it says, first rule, stop at the stop bar. And I tell the kids, get out and get a stop drink, but don't drink it because no drinking and driving.
No drinking and driving? Not even for regular drinks?
You're stopping at a stop bar. You don't get a regular drink at a stop bar. Get a stop drink.
What's a stop drink?
Whenever you get at the stop bar. You have to go to a stop bar, you get a stop drink. It makes the kids laugh.
What do you... I'm confused. Like, you don't want them to drink water?
I think you're reading way too much into my joke. I give them cute little jokes because they remember that it helps them remember things.
I think I'm just tired and they're going over my head.
Yep. One of the things that I have learned, and people back up, is if you tell jokes and it's funny, the kids will remember it. People will remember stuff.
Uh-huh.
So I tell a lot of jokes that are consistent. And one of them is, you stop at the stop bar, and then you get out and get a stop drink. But don't drink it because no drinking and driving, because I'm making a joke on the word bar, right? Because it's called Stop Bar. And it's silly, but that's the name of the bar, so it's okay.
Oh, you're talking about the white line that's like you're supposed to stop at. And
yeah, see, I've illustrated it right here. I've illustrated it. It's the stop bar. Actually, what I should do is do this and make you a small participant because you're not actually showing your artwork right now. But
Yes.
you can see it says stop bar. That's the stop bar. So this is what we call the hierarchy of stops. It's I'm making an animated video to talk about the hierarchy of stops. Right?
Yeah.
So your first rule is you stop at the stop bar if there's a stop bar. If there isn't, you stop at the crosswalk, right?
Yeah.
But if there isn't a crosswalk, then you then have to go to the third rule, which is if there's no crosswalk, you imagine one and stop there, which I had to make this elaborate animation where I added a crosswalk. And then if there's no crosswalk or sidewalk, you can stop in line with the street.
No, I'm
This looks fine.
No, I'm fully aware of the stop bar.
You are.
It's just in Florida, it seems like it's an optional thing.
Of course it is. They always think it's optional. What I've noticed is it's funny how most of our road laws are the same everywhere. But
oh no, it's still the same. In like when I was learning on how to drive in Florida, it still means the same thing. What I mean by optional is like people actually obeying it, and
that's what I mean. It's
like
sort of like the ongoing thing to say, well, yeah, that's the law in my place too, but everybody thinks it's optional. And I'm like, well, that's the entire reason why I'm trying to. That's why we do these videos.
Well, and what I find interesting is like I was talking to someone who lived here just as long as you have in Colorado, and they're like, when I was learning to drive, like we didn't have to like really worry about anything. My parents taught me.
Yep.
And then I learned in school. It wasn't like I had a class in school and I took my driving test at school.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay. And they're like, my kids can't do that.
That's exactly true.
And I was like, oh, goody.
You're not wrong.
Then they proceeded to tell me what it's like to have a child that's like 16 years old get a license in Colorado. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, it cost me about almost $600 just to get my kid like certified to drive.
Now, the one thing that they are leaving out is if you wait until they're 17, it doesn't cost that much.
Well, I think at the time it was only $50 if they were 18. And so they made their children wait until they were 18 to get a driver's license.
Which is exactly the plan. That's the battle plan.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, until you're in your 20s, you have a horrible habit of being an idiot about things. So the majority of accidents occur from 16 through 22.
Okay, I don't know about that. I don't know about that because like I only had one accident.
Yeah, but you're
I was a teenager. But the thing is
hang on.
Someone blocked my view. Like, what do you do in cases where someone like literally makes it impossible for you to see oncoming traffic or anything, and they're just not moving when they can move? Like it seems like they're parked in the middle of the road.
I have no idea what you said because I had to answer a phone call, and I even said, "Hang on, Pepper, hang on."
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So I answered it, and it turned out to be my pharmacy going, "Everything's ready for you to pick up." So that was nice.
Oh, do we need to cut short so you need to go to the pharmacy?
I need to go to the pharmacy.
My pharmacy too.
Well, while you're at the pharmacy, would you pick up my medicines too?
I don't know. Can I? Like, is your pharmacy all the way up in Loveland?
Maybe. So anyway, no, and I'm not talking about Pepper. I'm talking about people in general. In general, people, their frontal lobe does not settle in until they're 25. In general. And
Mhm.
so the general thought process is that it is better if you can start doing the dangerous stuff after the period of time where watch this is part of your vocabulary. And so,
That's still part of my vocabulary.
well, I'm exaggerating, but the point, of course, is that kids are more likely to race their cars. They're more likely to do stupid things with their cars. They're more likely to do dumb things with their cars. And frankly, they're more likely to get drunk and drive under the age of 25.
Okay, but still,
Statistically
what do
speaking.
you do? What do you do in the case of you have to cross the street and it's like a 4 lane street, so two on going one way, two going the other, with a turn lane in the center. Someone parks, not just a simple van, but a van that has like a trailer attached to it for gardening. And you have to cross that area in order to get to work, but you're not able to see any type of oncoming traffic at all because of the way that the car in the center of the entire road is.
I'm still trying to figure out how this is related to
This
me
was my
seeing
first
kids.
accident.
Oh, first
Yeah,
kids
yeah,
doing
I
stuff.
ended up. I was 17 years old. I had had my license for about 2 weeks, and I literally teamboed a person
Oh, okay.
because the car was like right there obstructing my view, and he would not move. Now, he did move right after the accident happened because they didn't want to be stopped as witnesses.
Okay.
So, like, what do you do when those cases happen? Like, what do you tell your kids?
You mean what do I do in the instance of somebody well, I would tell them not to go. I would tell them to back up and go a different direction. Generally speaking, or make a right turn, go up a block and come back down.
Okay,
Anytime if you can't see, then don't go. I mean that's like you don't want to take a risk of it. But that's also experience. That's not something people have by default. So I'm not faulting you for it.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Well, I mean, it was
there's
my
nothing
fault.
wrong with what you did, you know.
I mean, I still had the ticket to actually prove that it was my fault. They did tell me that if I didn't calm down, like, I would have had to go to the hospital.
You know?
It was the first time I had a panic attack in front of an actual EMT. It was fun.
Uh-huh. So, anyway, yeah, I mean the answer really boils down to um I'd tell my kids they would just go up a block. That's the biggest thing that people make a mistake of in driving is, I have to turn left. I cannot see, but I've got to turn left. So they turn left to get into an accident, and if they turned right and gone up a block, turned around and came back down, they wouldn't have been in the accident. And it's something, or like I've got to exit at this exit. I must exit. So they cut off 12 lanes of traffic, and there's accidents everywhere. And it's like all you need to do is go to the next exit, get off, turn around, come back. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
and so people, that's the biggest problem is what I call it tunnel vision. It's like you get this like I've got to do this one thing and I'm gonna end up killing people, but I what else was I supposed to do? It's in fact my sister was in an accident last week because of this very thing, right? The guy needed to merge with traffic and there was no gap. And so he just ran my sister into the middle lane because I mean he had to get in, right? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
okay, but that mentality means you just wrecked both cars.
Well,
And legitimately, He thought he was in the right, even though he crossed a double white line and came
Yeah,
up
that happens
behind
a
my
lot.
sister. Right?
Yeah, that
Came up
happens a
behind her, so
lot
she didn't
where
even
I
see
live.
it.
That happens a lot where I live. There's like
Yep.
there's a place on one of the main roads that has like a bunch of merge lanes, and like people will literally speed up just to avoid people to merge in. Um, but then the merge people, like, they'll sit there and like cross, like, not just like two lines that are trying to move in, like they'll cross like a section that's like this the width of a car just to get into the lane they have to merge into. And I have been in that lane where they do it, and then all of a sudden, like, I have to like stomp on my brakes and nearly hit the person in front of me. It's annoying.
Yeah.
But I also want to point out, please don't listen to driving advice from me, because A, I have road rage very bad at times. B, it took me 5 times taking the test in Florida to actually pass.
Yeah,
So
it's
there you go.
fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, I have test anxiety.
That sounds exactly like test anxiety to me.
Yeah. So, yeah. I, yeah. So, and I actually had someone from the DMV tell me come back, because I actually went to take the test 7 times before the 8th time. But 2 of the times I never took the test, because one time I was out of gas in the vehicle that I was supposed to take the test in. And then the other time I went, and the DMV like tester taker person basically was like, "Hey, listen, you have 4 times failed on the test. If you failed today, then you have to wait a full year before you can test again when you're 18. So how about you come back in 2 weeks when your test reset?" I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, your test reset at a certain time, and yours is in 2 weeks. So come back then. How about we do that?" And it was the same guy that I got my passing test from. So, like, honestly, like, for me, it was A, I had test anxiety. B, it was the person who was giving me the test that was usually how bad my test anxiety was going to be. And C, it, like, if I failed, I always got, like, the lecture. So, like, I really need, like, you know what it is, like, the parent that needs their child to, pass the driving test because they need to stop driving their child places, and they need them to start being independent. I don't know.
Right.
I'm rambling now.
It's all good. I just keep working over here.
No. So. So I do have some images that I could probably show you.
Okay, well, that's fine, but I'm doing something else. Hang on. There we go. Now
All right.
images.
So there we go. This is for that project for the month of October.
Good morning, Donald.
Morning, Donald.
I like these. Nice.
This one is like really hard to tell what it is, but it's supposed to be fog.
Oh, gotcha.
And then I took a playbook of like noir and detective style comics for this one.
Sweet. I like all these little pieces. Like, that's cool. Oh man, I need the ACAR render. Damn it. Nice.
And then this is the last of the finished ones.
Those are cool. I like that one.
I figured you would. It's the one that was the prompt was Black Cat.
I
But
have one
like,
of those.
yeah, I didn't want it like to be like a stereotypical black cat, so like I made it like really dark brown.
Yeah.
Um, here are the ones I haven't colored in yet.
Nice. Oh, I like that one too. I like the little witch.
Well, she's the character in all of them.
Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, but she's cute in that previous one. That one, she looks evil.
Well, she's a little witch, so
She's a witch. Cute. George the Destructor. Aw, I like that one too.
And then this one has to be my favorite so far.
Nice. That's cool.
This is a silly one.
Ah, I like that one.
And this is the Nightmare.
Yeah.
And then the Dream Mare.
The unicorn.
Well, I mean, you draw a skeleton unicorn for the Nightmare, you know, but the Dream Mare is actually the one I was working on while I was on the show. So I have 4 more to draw in ink, and then I'm caught up with that.
Tonkubin.
Huh?
Mahatsuno Tonkubin. Donald's talking about Kiki's delivery service.
Ah, yes. Well,
which in Japanese is called Mahatsuno Tonkubin.
Oh, okay.
Which delivery service? Which?
Well, I don't think she's a delivery witch. Like, so the witch character herself is actually based off of the literal witch in this picture.
Uh-huh.
So, like, this is something I did back in February of this year. But like, so the witch character in all of the images is actually this little girl right here, and then her older sister is this one right here in the picture. So like, it just basically, like, all the images are her imagination, the little girl's imagination. She's not delivering anything or anything like that, so not following that format.
No, he was just saying he likes that show.
Oh, well, I mean, he's delivery service.
I don't think there's anything. I don't think he was saying what you were doing was Kiki's delivery service. I think he was just saying
it's easy to confuse me.
Yeah.
So, I'm on prompt called Trip, and then I have Treat as next, Bats after that, and Potion after that. So, and then I should be caught up as far as inking goes. Hopefully by the end of the day. I do have a prompt for something called a Resurrectionist, so I'm going to have fun with that. The Necromancer. More specifically, a Necromancer that pulls his experiments from graveyards.
Hmm. This is taking a lot of concentration. Sorry.
No, it's alright.
I have a 1:30 meeting, and I have to go to my therapy appointment between here and my 1:30 meeting, and I want both of these videos to be done by the 1:30 meeting. So I'm
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me that like we were going to end in like 15 minutes because of
no,
that.
nope. Car A arrived first, so car A can go first. So the most important one on this one, apparently, is broken. So that's irritating. This is the most irritating one because this is a very complex animation. It's going to take frickin' forever to render. And I need to render it because Nectomancer, chiropractor. Oh, it runs through all the cars. Question is, can I render that without us? I think it's a 20-minute render, but while it's doing that, my machine gets really slowed down and slugged out. So I'm kind of thinking I might switch to over here and do some drawing or something, so that, or painting or something.
Gotcha.
Because it takes a while for it to render, and it may be sluggy and weird while it does it. So. People keep stealing my scissors and not putting them back. I don't mind them using my scissors. I have a real problem with them using my scissors and then not putting them back.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yep, I knew you bumped it. Now that I've done that, I'm going to do all the things. Give me as much space as I possibly can, because now things are going to get crunchy. Yep. So now we're all crunchy.
From Bill.
Hello, Bill.
How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Not too bad. We're coming down to your neighborhood next weekend.
Yay!
This weekend, yeah. We should schedule like a lunch or something.
We should. We should do lunch or something.
I need to drop off film at a place that's going to scan it for us. So.
Oh, yeah. I actually wouldn't mind going with you on that one and figuring out what they do and how they do it and stuff like that.
Can do.
So maybe we will see what I'm going to pull up the calendar now. I'm rendering, so things are sluggy on my machine. So when are you going to be here? Saturday or Sunday?
I imagine Saturday.
I have a 2:00 meeting, and that looks like that's about it.
Okay.
So if you want to meet before that, I'll put that in here and say,
we're
none stuff with Bill and Pepper. Here. And we'll give it a couple of an hour. I'll put it I don't know what. It's hard to do stuff because my PC is rendering at this point, and so it's really cranky.
I can get you a little bit more precise time later.
That's all good. I'll block you for 11 to 2, and then that way that'd be a thing. Okay. And that way, at least I know roughly. And then my wife won't send all of it. But we have to go to Outer Abu Dhabi. Wait. You didn't put it on the calendar. How am I supposed to do stuff? You don't put it on the calendar. So, how you doing?
Not too bad. Doing work stuff. Dealing with annoying work stuff.
I get the work stuff thing. I follow that. Yeah.
I basically have the system I'm trying to hack right now that it keeps trying to process this thing which isn't working. So I'm like, stop processing it. So I've changed the status in 2 tables to failed. And those worked, but it's still attempting it in the background. So the display says it's failed, but it's still doing it. It's still trying to do it. So now I need to figure out how to get it to stop. And that is just in pain.
And you just want to kick people. I get it. I've been there.
Well, and I needed to process other stuff, and this gets in the way. So.
Yeah. Well, that's where I am kind of as well. I'm single-minded at the moment here. I I need to do this video for a 1 o'clock meeting today, but the point of view video was corrupt, so I've got to re-render it. So now I'm re-rendering it, and I'm like, I don't know what to do for the next like 20 minutes while it renders this. Yeah, I'm just getting fidgety. Just fidgety.
Your render farm.
Yeah, I really do, but we're not at one. Well, I don't know. We're at 1/3 at 4 minutes, so maybe it's going to be easier. When I use 3D Delight, which is the lighter of the two rendering engines on Daz Studio, it doesn't go very fast, or it doesn't go very slow. When I use ID Ray, it does a lot of ray tracing and like all the iRay. It uses ray tracing and all kinds of stuff. So,
does Daz Studio support render farms, like sending out the render to other computers to do?
Maybe. I don't know. I've never really tried. So, looks like it's going to take about 12 minutes to render this, so that's not so bad. I've never really tried because usually the animations that I do are cartoony, and so I actually do like the lower rendering values they add to it. You know, too much high rendering where you're doing depth of field and things are blurry in the background and sharp in the foreground, and rain is falling or whatever. That's not really like the kind of stuff that I do. So
you can still render farm. It's just distributing the render process across multiple computers.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that
you tell it to do.
Right, but that's what I'm trying to say is it's not usually the renders that I do are like this one. It's going to take 12 minutes to render 10 seconds. That's not I'm at a minute a second is actually a relatively fast speed for rendering.
Right.
And especially since I've got to go in and I'm going to take this 10-second, and it's actually longer than 10 seconds. It's like 40 seconds. So we're doing a lot better than that. But the whole point is that it'll take me longer to hack it up in Premiere and put all the title graphics and arrows and all the things that need to be put in there. Once the rendering is done, it's So to me, it's only annoying to do this 12-minute render because I need to work, But the reality is, if I render farmed it, it would take 12 minutes to allot it to all the machines for it to render everything in 1 minute. And so it'd take 13 minutes to do a 12-minute render that would have taken 12 minutes on my machine in the first place. Sort of thing.
Like that.
Yeah, kind of thing. So
it'd probably be a minute to distribute everything and then a couple minutes to render, and then you'd be done.
Render everything? Yeah, probably. I mean, really, honestly, if I did it more often, I would.
Mm-hmm.
If this is the first of many jobs of which people will be calling me to say, make cute little animated widgets that do these things, and if this becomes the first of many jobs, then we will consider it.
Okay.
But at the moment, I only have one machine anyway. Where would I distribute it to?
Right.
I have to farm it out to your machine.
Do you have other machines in the home? Like your wife have a laptop or kids?
I mean, I do have a Surface. So and it does have Daz Studio on it. So I mean, I could make the Surface, pawn it off on the Surface.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a bad deal.
Yeah. Well, you could split the load. It could be your computer could take 80% and the Surface could take 20%.
Yeah. It would still save me some time.
Yeah. And then you can also get old used computers, like for $100 or less.
Yep. And their whole job is just sit over there and chug.
Yeah. Just plug them in, set everything up, and then just turn them on when you need them, so you don't have to waste power. But
hang on, Bill. Hang on, real quick. I swear, when I have a doctor's appointment, I get like one email a month before, and that's all I get. That's all the warning I get. But when I go to my therapist, which is in the same building, by the way, I get like 62 emails, 12 calls prior to it, 1 hour before you get a call and 15 minutes before you get a call by automated systems. And it's like, I mean, I get it because my therapist is talking about ADD, and she herself is an ADDer, which means that she's clearly doing the yes, we will turn on every reminder button. Whereas my doctor's like, nah, you'll pay the $125 if he fails to not show up. You know, so I guess it's kind of depends on which way you're on. So
I followed on Facebook someone that does the Facebook Reels, short videos about ADD. So now I get a bunch more of them. So.
Godzilla, it's non-denominational.
So I found out that Godzilla is not Godzilla. It's actually some like Japanese word that we interpreted as Godzilla, but it's not.
Because it's Gojira. That's what it is in Japanese. It's Gojira, which nobody is 100% sure because the inventor of Godzilla has recently passed away and he didn't tell anybody. It was like his little internal secret. But the word for whale is Kojira. And so people think that it might be because the difference between ko and go is just 2 dots.
Yeah.
So Kojira is a whale. So Gojira would be, maybe a whale with 2 dots. So the idea being he came from the ocean. He's very large.
Right.
It's kind of like why we would say he's a lizard. He's not really a lizard either. So that's the thought, is that Godzilla's original name was supposed to be whale, but it'd be kind of like if he was called Vale, you'd be like, okay, did they mean whale with a V, or did they mean the thing that covers your face?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's kind of pretty straightforward how it is. And when you look at the spelling, everybody's spelling it in like kid crayon letters instead of, so you can't tell for sure, because they're not spelling it correctly either way. They're not spelling it correctly in Vale or Vale. They're not spelling it correctly. It's spelled VAALLE or something like that, and you're like, well, that still doesn't tell me.
Right.
Which that doesn't give me a good idea either way. That's exactly what happened with Godzilla. It's always spelled in katakana, which they use for foreign words. So because of that, you can't read the kanji to find out whether he meant whale or whether he meant something else, some other word. Because there's another word that's very similar to that could be for large or massive. And so it's like, okay, now wait a minute. Which one did you mean?
I'll be right back. My chat system was blowing up, and I want to make sure I'm not exploding.
Make sure nothing's exploding. Frame 786 of 1,000. We're at 780. We're at 808 of 1,000. It's still rolling.
Okay. The world wasn't on fire.
That's good. Now George is chasing the laser pointer. This is an important part of our daily ritual. Keeps him in shape for test. You can hear him. He's like a freaking elephant now. So yeah, that is. And of course, nobody knows where all these names came from, really. It's like a conglomerate of people who, we're all sitting around one day, smoking cigarettes and drinking beers and going, well, we need to have another monster to fight Godzilla, so I don't know, something like a moth. We'll call him Mothra. You know what I mean? Like some of them, you're like, oh, that's pretty obvious, but then like some of them, you're like, where'd that name come from? What does that even mean? You know? and like some of them are like, I don't even know what those mean. So you're like,
Yep.
it's one of those things where in the 60s, especially 50s and 60s, here and there, people just came up with the weirdest names because they were like, we're gonna come up with a name. Think of something quick. And somebody's like, blah 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 blah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like Gamera.
Gadira. So people just invent
Like,
stuff.
what I find interesting about the differences between Gamera and Godzilla is Gamera is not that far off from the actual spelling.
Yeah. Gamera is actually somewhat close to Genbu as far as like names. And Genbu was a traditional Chinese, Japanese god that was shaped like a turtle. So kind of makes some sense. At least I can kind of see where Gamera came from, because it could come from a derivative of Genbu. So it sort of makes sense, but no.
I mean, I gotta love, like, you know, the wonderful, like, pot and alcohol fueled discussions on how someone thought Gamera was a test gone wrong on a Kappa. That was fun to hear.
I could see that.
But
Saving us some power and space gave me 5 less minutes on this render. It is done doing its rendering now. Now we just double check to make sure it did what it was supposed to do.
apparently,
I guess I'm holding the show down.
You're holding the show, huh? It's you and me against the world there, Bill. There we go. So, oh, man, I am so not impressed. Gamera is your favorite monster? Yeah, it's the children's monster. That still cracks me up.
Is that from the Godzilla franchise?
Yeah, they called Gamera the children's monster.
Oh, was it like the baby Godzilla?
No, that's Godzuki.
Oh.
Which is where it's also like, you know, wait a minute. Because that's Kogajira in Japanese, which is baby Godzilla, literally. But they called him Godzuki here, which cracked me up. I was like, okay.
I always liked Mothra.
Mothra. I'm with you. Okay, now I have the point of view 4-way stop, which is what we were working on before. So what kind of trouble have you been getting into, Bill?
Not much. Mostly just trying to manage the yard.
Oh, yeah, managing the yard is kind of a pain.
So, and trying to get this whole film scanning thing done. I negotiated with the guy to get all of the raw frames because I'm a hobbyist and I want to play. So I want the individual frames that I can assemble myself. But I also want the full rendered project so that I can ship that off and make my grandparents happy and move on.
Right? Because, like, the important thing is for people to be able to watch this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I have to be honest with myself, and it's like, do I really have the time? And the answer is no. My grandparents would probably die before I finished it. So, you know what?
Yeah, my dad actually did die before I finished it. So, there is that.
Mm-hmm. That's my motivation to have them do it. But I still want the raw frames because I still want to play with it and see what I can do because I want to play with my AI stuff and try to enhance. I mean,
You
supposedly
saw the stuff that I was doing. You were like, that was bizarre.
Huh?
It's so weird. You saw the stuff I was doing. So bizarre.
Mhm.
I mean, it was cool, but it was freaky. It was like really
Right.
freaky.
I
And
mean,
then I got,
I'm still eventually going to build my own like 8mm and 16mm film scanner, but I would rather get this done now and then do that.
yeah. That makes some sense.
Yeah. And we need a new scanner for just doing our photos and film here because the old one we have, which I got like probably the late 90s. I mean, I paid like $1,000 for it, but it's old now, and it's not doing the infrared scan part, so it's not cleaning it up.
Infrared scan though, that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can get a lot of it, and you got it. I mean, because that's what they do in archaeology.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is just like dust cleanup. Like it'll do an infrared scan, and then it'll make that a mask on the color image, and then wherever it's dark, it will replace with surrounding pixels to clean up dust.
That makes sense.
Right. But it only works like half the time on there, so it's like I can't put all of the slides in and be like, yeah, scan all of them, and then I'll come back when it's done. And then when I came back, I found like only one of them it did it, and then the rest it didn't.
Right.
So, or sometimes it would do 2 or 3, and then it wouldn't do any of the other ones. So it's time for a new scanner.
I feel that one more than I really want to. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a definite thing.
There you go.
So
Time to load up.
Okay, well, I need to.
Alright, I'll be right back. I need to get my
Okay.
iPhone.
it's I was telling him I've got to get this animation done before I leave for my therapist appointment because this is sort of the meeting is at 1:30, and so I'm hoping that I can at least get these two done. Yeah, so that's where I am. So that's why I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not talking a lot. Yeah. This takes a lot of thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, for rendering, you could just have a bunch of computers in the corner, like 4 or 5 of them. You just turn them on, and then when you're ready, you just hit render, and you would good in a minute.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing. Like old computers today are like crazy powerful. Like you can get a 4-core system for probably $25.
Oh yeah. That's the
4-core's
thing.
been out forever now.
That's what gets me is like, I mean, it's still. Well, that's what I was saying is if this turns out to be something where I need to do animation more often, which I would love to do, by the way. I love animation. This is so much fun. I'm actually not, I mean, it takes a lot of my thinking, but I enjoy it. I really enjoy it. And if I had more of these jobs, it'd be worth it. Totally it'd be worth it. No question. So. Anyway, yeah, but this is the one that's tough for the kids. Is, so I'm trying to make it, first rule, first to the intersection, first to go. That makes sense. Car A arrived first, so it can go first. And then I show it from the point of view of the car.
What you should do is at the beginning and end, you should have your business logo and contact information, for animation,
Yeah.
and then put that on YouTube for other people to learn from. But then also maybe someone will see it and be like, "Hey, can you animate something for me?"
Not a bad idea. Actually, I think I will do exactly that. I mean, because obviously these animations are going to go to the school, but there's nothing that says I can't put them together.
Right?
I've been thinking about doing a YouTube series of just either obscure road laws, because that's funny, or like common mistakes that people make. And, and then, but doing them with the, here is the, Title 4, Section 3 or whatever of the Colorado driving law says that you must do this, and explain how that works. Because as I was just telling Pepper last week, my sister got into an accident because it wasn't an accident, it was a collision. Because the guy was in the weave lane, and he drove up on her suddenly and then just ran right into her. And he was like, "Hey, I was out of merge lane, so what else was I supposed to do?" And I'm like, "Yield?"
Slow down.
Like, yield? You cross you cross a double white solid line in a weave lane, which yields to extending traffic to run into my sister. And your whole argument was, "But I had my blinker on." Okay. That changes nothing.
I guarantee you, if you do a video just about how the left lane is for passing only, and it's a state law, that would get shared so many times.
Yes. You're probably right. But I mean, like, cute little animations. I've already built the little models. The little models are adorable. Little guy can pop back and forth inside there. He can, he like bobbles all over the place because I put him on a hinge. So I like to make the cars like screech to a stop and then just sit there and like rock back and forth like that because it's cute. But it also shows and illustrates a full stop,
Right.
And it sort of reinforces a stop is not just slow down to 5 miles an hour. A stop is when the car finally goes and pulls back like this. That's a full stop. If you feel the car roll backward, or at least feel the pressure come off, then you're at a full stop.
Right.
Which people don't seem to understand, and a lot of my kids end up getting in trouble for it because of that,
All right. I need to get back to work.
See you later.
Good talking to you. I'll see you on Saturday.
I'll see you on Saturday. Woo!
So,
I always kind of say that the worst thing to possibly ever do is to do the thought process of, get mad and get angry. Because once you do, you're compromised and you shouldn't be driving.
There are several people in my neighborhood that should not be driving.
Yep.
For that specific reason. I am scared when they drive down the road.
It is true.
I am sorry, folks. I really needed to eat.
It is all good.
To answer Donald, we have 30 boxes of full-size candy bars ready to go for trick-or-treaters.
Wow, full-size candy bars? Can I stop at your place?
Sure.
Yay, full-size candy.
You want to bring Kai up and tour my neighborhood? Sure, why not?
Right? Okay. Nope. This needs to be here. There. Let me grab this arrow. Okay.
You ever look at someone who's posting like pictures of their baby online and go, that one picture looks like the dad, but this picture now looks like the mom?
That one looks like the milkman.
Yeah, right? Like, when does it get to a point where it's like, okay, well, this child just looks like both of them, but why does things keep changing on this baby? Like, I have a friend, her child is lighter in complexion to her, but her husband is darker than her. So the child has like his face, essentially, but in some pictures, like looks like her. It's a very bizarre. And then there's other pictures where the baby's skin like looks so much like the father's, and it's just like I really need to know on what type of lighting they're using.
Yeah.
So, Guy,
Yeah, that's me.
where would you like to meet up if you're meeting us up for like lunch in Arvada?
That's a good question. I don't really necessarily have like a thing per se. Hang on, quick. Hang on. Look to the passenger side. So, sorry. This is taking a lot of processor cycles for me.
No, it's fine. That's why I did something simple.
Yeah, except that wasn't, because now I'm like, I don't know. I don't know where you're going. We could discuss it. Oh, for crying out loud! Hang on real quick. Sorry. That was the doctor's office. Again, they called while you were out of the room with the automated system to remind me. And so I was like, I think that they were doing you have to press 1 to confirm. And so I hung up on them, but I didn't press 1. So this time I had to wait for them to press 1.
Gotcha.
I don't know. I'm having way too much fun with this.
It's all good. So, Guy, I have a quick question for you. Are you still doing the rendering and you can't talk?
No, I'm still. It's not the rendering I can talk, but just takes. I've got a lot of brain power going to doing this edit, but I'm totally able to talk. So
Okay.
what
I have an idea, and I'm not sure if I should do it or not. So I figured I would ask you what you think. So I have the gummy bear molds, right?
Okay.
Yeah. I was and I was going to take and make some Polish yellow ochre for watercolor paint.
Mm-hmm.
And fix it where the paws, the face, the stomach are, and then fill it up with another color to kind of make like a mixing. Like basically, the gummy bear would be like more of like a mixing.
Okay.
But if I do that, I kind of have to like swirl it in the underneath that so that like I can get like it can be the one color the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
For
So
the
are you thinking of putting paints in gummy bear molds?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's cute. I like that.
Yeah. So they came with these. The molds did.
Uh-huh.
But I went online and I got 2 of these.
Okay. Injectors?
Yeah.
These things?
Well, yeah. Technically, you're supposed to use these for catheters, but I'm repurposing them for non-medical use.
That's probably not bad.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, I'm trying to think of what type of color I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if I want to do a green with it or an orange. So
I like green. Yield is spelled Y-E-I-L-D. Yes, not Y-I-E-L-D.
yield.
Yeah.
Y-E. No, I thought it was Y-I-E.
I think it might be E. Yeah, it is Y. Yeah. Now I'm suddenly I can't. I don't know. I don't know anymore because it got both ways in my head.
It's alright.
Thank you.
I'm still upset with Leslie Jordan passing away, so...
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard or not.
Yep. I'm having a hard time remembering where or who Leslie Jordan was.
Did you ever watch Will and Grace?
Yes, but not a lot of it.
Okay, did you see any episodes with Karen's nemesis, a male version of her, but he was like a closeted queer man married to a woman?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I remember
Yeah,
that.
that's him.
Okay. Yeah, he was funny.
He's also very well known in theater, and he's also very well known in like other like productions of things. But he had done TV and everything for a while. One of the TV series was about him in a nursing home or a retirement home with 3 other people, the Cool Kids, I think it was called. And then the more recently, he played Phil on Call Me Cat, which is like a spinoff of the BBC's Miranda. Not
Okay.
spin-off. Basically, they base Call Me Cat off of Miranda, which is a BBC program. And Leslie Jordan played a character called Phil, and like I absolutely love the character because he was like this little Southern man that was also a baker on the show, and it was just fun to see him because like he always had an anecdote that was just like they gave him like some really good lines.
Well, that's
So it was always fun. But he recorded 9 episodes of the new season before he passed in the car accident.
Did he pass in a car accident?
That's what I first saw. Like
Okay.
I don't like let me just.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I just didn't know.
Well, I'm also starting to like. Yeah, dies after crash. Yeah.
Bummer.
I mean, and not only that, like he's one of the first actors that, if you were growing up in the '80s and the '90s, like if you think about it, on TV, he was the first one that you would have seen if you were a queer kid during that time, like going, "Oh, it's okay to be myself." Like he's like one of those actors who just never hid himself away. He was always there, and so like it was just I don't know. It's just like I just remember seeing him a lot on TV and always liking seeing him. Yeah.
I agree.
So apparently the car lost control. The car was crashed into a building after losing control. That's what they're saying. They have not actually stated whether or not there was something happening to him while he was driving that caused him to die, or it happened after he lost control of the car.
Okay.
But he was 67 years old.
Right. That's not old enough to warrant
Yeah.
dying of like old age or anything. That's, in fact, now 67 is actually still considered relatively young.
Yeah, I know. We're inching our way back up to the eventual 210 marker.
We're gonna have to do some work on our telomeres before we do that, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. We should get on that.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah. We should make it so that our telomeres make us like last until we can actually see Star Trek in reality.
Exactly. We're just saying.
No. Sorry, I need to take a break from drawing.
That's totally fine. You can take a break.
So, well, no, my arm and my nerves in my right arm that I use for drawing have been acting up really badly lately. To the point where I have like a massage gun that I sit there and like pelt my arm in the middle of the day and at the end of the day to kind of loosen up the muscles.
It's cool.
And I don't know if you would be interested in this or not, but Cassandra Peterson, Elvira, was on my MB Alex podcast.
Okay.
I don't know if you would be interested in that.
Maybe. I like Cassandra Peterson. She cracks me up.
Yeah. She went to high school in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Yep.
She actually worked as a go-go dancer in one of the oldest. Well, no, it's still there. The gay bar that she was a go-go dancer at is still there. Yeah.
That is cool. I had heard something about that at some point in time. I remember that being super scandalous back in the 80s, and I kept thinking, why is this a scandal?
Not really a scandal. I mean, that was in the 60s that she did it. And then in 1969, she went to Vegas and worked as the youngest showgirl in Vegas.
Yeah.
And she still holds that title today. Like, Cassandra Peterson worked as a showgirl at 17.
Oh, sure. I'm not saying, what I'm saying is, I remember it being so scandalous in the 80s and of her being in a gay bar. Not the showgirl part. That wasn't scandalous. It was her working in a gay bar. That was scandalous.
But, like, okay, please explain to me on how that's scandalous.
I don't know.
Like, that doesn't seem right.
Other than it was the 80s, and if you were gay for any reason, you instantly had AIDS and were killing everybody. Because that was the 80s.
That is true. Okay, so that one...
So, I mean, that's the only thing I
can... in Florida...
I grew up in a household with actors. Like, half the people in there were gay. So... Yeah. I didn't see anything wrong with gay people at all until I was in high school and started getting indoctrinated, in all of the crap that we all got into. And that's one of the reasons why it didn't take that long for me to undoctrinate, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Because I really, in my younger years, was growing up with gay people all the time and they weren't different. You know what I mean? Like, you get to know people and it's like, I don't know. Okay, whatever. You like boys and you're a boy. I don't care. It doesn't matter. And then in high school, we started don't touch me if you're gay because you'll give me AIDS. And you know what I mean? Like, that crap started. But then by my 20s, I was over it. So.
Yeah. No, what I find interesting is from that time period, we still had during that time period in my life, we still had people like doing the whole, like, the movies with, like, kids doing blood packs, becoming quote-unquote blood brothers. Where basically someone either has a cut or they cut themselves and then they, like, make a pact by like putting their open wounds together, that sort of deal. We were
Yeah.
still having those types of movies being made. And I remember after those, like parents and stuff going, if you do that, you'll get AIDS. Like,
Right.
if you do this, you'll get like. Basically, it was like a deterrent. It wasn't just used for like the whole like anti-gay stuff. It was like actually like people used it for like hygiene and stuff. And I'm just like, okay, but it's still being put on our media. So it was like a very confusing, definitely confusing time in my life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it was a confusing time in all of our lives. I mean, I don't think that was ever not
Yeah.
a thing, you know.
No, the one, I don't know. I think that like we were on a really good track as far as a society, to kind of show different types of things and have more acceptance. I want to say probably in the late 60s. I could have seen like more developing coming out of that. Looking back at history
Mm-hmm.
classes and stuff, and just being told like, "Oh, yeah, this is totally what could have happened, right?" But I, it's a really weird predicament because it's like you want to have faith that humanity could grow and change from that, but then there's other things that are involved that are just like, okay, like,
Well, the thing is, I actually was talking, strangely enough, yesterday I went to go see my high school teacher
okay,
and his wife, whom I really haven't really seen those guys in like probably 20 years. So I got to hang out with him yesterday, and my high school teacher's retirement job is he's become a luthier, and so he now makes guitars, and he's wonderful at it, and they're great guitars. But he's 80, and I'm wanting to get back in touch with him and communicate with him because he might. I mean, he's in great shape for 80. He's doing great, but still, he's 80, and I just lost dad, and I'm kind of cognizant and aware now that these
yeah,
people aren't eternal. And he was a very influential person in my childhood. He was a very influential person in high school to me, and very important to me. And so I wanted to see him. So, but we were talking. His wife and I were talking. She was also a teacher. She just wasn't a teacher in our school. Um, and she and
yeah,
I were talking about this, and we kind of talked about the fact that there are the people in the world who are cynical, and then there are the people who aren't, and they cause two kinds of people. And I think what happens is the cynical people get fearful, and then they start tribalizing. You know, all of the people who are like me are okay. All the people who aren't are obviously that guy who got me into an accident yesterday, and obviously that guy who stole my money yesterday, and obviously that guy who did this, that, and the other thing. You know what I mean? Like, you start to get into this default mode of, you're my friend, Pepper, so there's no way you could have done anything wrong to me. But all of these other guys who aren't like you and I, what is the attribute of them that's not like you and I? Well, it can't be gay people because you're gay and I'm not, so it must be color of skin. You know what I mean? Like, they'll come up. That's how you get these weird. How is it somebody's willing to accept black people but not gay people? How are they willing to accept gay people but not black people? Those kind of things. You have just a certain type of person who
yeah,
blames everything on the people who aren't like you and me. And those people are the people that always make us go, every generation go, oh, we're never going to evolve, are we? And really, the truth is, they're a very small percentage of the people out there. And it's
yeah,
usually fear based. They've usually gotten some horrible problem that made them go that way,
Yeah.
And so that's what we were talking about, how that is a thing. I think this is done. First rule, first to the intersection, first to go. Okay, no problem. So the first person that comes to the intersection, that's A. You ride first, so he can go first. All right. We show from the point of view of the car. And there we go. Second rule, person to the right goes first. Person to the left yields. Probably should leave that on there longer.
You have the rule if you have a like everyone comes up to the thing at once.
That one's funnier. I don't have that in here because usually I tell people that rule. Because they're always like, what if 4 people come up to the stop at the same time? And I'm like, oh, that's easy, man. You get out of your car, take the bears that are in your trunk, put them in the intersection, have them fight. Whichever bear wins, that person goes first. And the kids stare at me for a second, and then there's like a countdown I can almost do in my head for, oh, he's screwing with us. You know what I mean? Before that like hits their brain, and they're like, oh, he's messing with us. That kind of stuff makes me happy.
Well, it's kind of like when people are like, oh, like what's the most memorable thing in your childhood? The lady that like literally there's a bunch of stuff memorized in my childhood, and it's like, yeah, various reasons. That's one of those ones that would probably stick out if I was in that situation. Someone telling me, "Oh yeah, I have to get a bear from my trunk of my car to fight, to see who goes first."
They remember it. They totally remember it, and it works, and it breaks up the class. You know what I mean? Like, because it's so hard. There's so many things that we're talking about and talking about and talking about, and so it breaks it up a little so that it's not quite as hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm making sure this is 2 different words, because there's one test says which person goes first, and then the other test says which person yields. And my kids get that wrong all the time. So I am specifically making sure it says both. That way, they don't know what the word yield means. This is the time to discuss it, guys. Right here. So for all the teachers who are like, they didn't know what yield meant, which I actually, that's one of the things I've never realized needed to happen. But I needed to have a discussion with my kids about what the word yield meant.
I was always taught that yield meant that you slow down, but you don't necessarily have to stop. Like, if there's no traffic coming, you slow down to see if there's traffic coming, and then you go. It's like you're proceeding with caution.
Yes, that is what a yield sign means. However, the key important thing about yielding is that the important thing about yielding is that it is about surrendering your right of way. That's the important part. So the problem that I have with people is, or with my kids, is that they learn yield the same way you do, which is slow down, but you don't have to stop. And so what they'll do is they'll come up to a yield sign, slow down and that stop, and then run into the person. And then they'll say, but I slowed down and I don't have to stop, right? So I have to make sure that I put the you surrender right of way to the other person, and then slow down to make sure you can see that there are no other people. You know what I mean? Like, that has to be the priority. Otherwise, they do it told me to slow down. I did slow down. Why did I hit him? You know?
Yeah.
Because you have to put the right of way piece in there. Otherwise, they do exactly what you did, which is not wrong. You're not wrong. You're absolutely not wrong.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, so that's why I always do that. That's a thing. It's funny doing this stuff because it's like it's like, make sure they're all the way through the little curtain, otherwise it looks really strange. I have this background curtain of blue so that it's not so weird looking, but then they had come through the curtain. There we go. I think that looks good. I'll play it one more time, and then I'll render it, and then I'll call myself good, which is great because it's almost 11, and I got to go to my 11 o'clock appointment, which the doctor has called twice about to say, remember, you have an 11 o'clock appointment.
Well, do you need to go? It's like 6 till 11.
Yep. Well, it's 11:10, and it's 9 minutes from here. So I'm just going to double check this and then render it out.
Okay, cool. I mean, the animation looks very student-esque. Like, for students, what I mean, like, learning stuff.
I think that one needs to be fixed. So I will call this, save this, and then we will go. Because I've got about 1 minute. And that's not enough time to... This looks a little too long. No, I could probably just do this. I'm going to fix this last piece.
So I find it, before, I don't know if you actually would be into knowing about this or not, but since Angela Lansbury has passed away, they are doing a resurgence of Murder, She Wrote books.
Nice.
but they no longer have Jessica Fletcher on as the writer,
Right.
which I find kind of harsh, but kind of nice for a change of pace. Because everyone knew Jessica Fletcher was like a fictional character, but the previous books were always Jessica Fletcher and so and so. You know, like they were always like credited after Jessica Fletcher. But now that she's passed away, like they took her off. So I don't. Jessica Fletcher still lives on, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
So there we go. How about this? Look to the passenger side. They go first, right? The car on your side must yield. There we go. That way, because see, when the problem I was having was when you do these top-down views, the car to your right, okay, and then the kids get in the car and they're like, which way's my right? Oh God, I can't, because they're all freaked out, right? So I thought if I do this from point of view, then I can say, look to the passenger side. They go first. The car on your side must yield.
yeah.
There we go. Okay, that's much better. I will save this, and then we will play it one last time to make sure everything's okay. I think Murder, She Wrote is cool.
I just have one thing to say about the four-way stop. When you're in the South, not in Colorado, but when you're in the South, you literally have to wait for someone to basically go, okay, I'm sick of waiting anymore, and move. And that's on how you get people moving in that situation. Just saying. Colorado, if I got to a four-way stop here in this state, there's always that one person that just starts rolling with it and basically allows everyone to do. There's no waiting, there's no waving of hands, there's like none of that politeness. It's just like, I'm gonna go. So, but anyways, yes, Murder, She Wrote is very good. Bill has been watching it since Angela Lansbury passed away.
That does not surprise me. It's a good series. Mom used to watch it a long time ago.
There's like 12 seasons.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it was running in the 80s at 12 seasons, too.
Well, no, it was like late 80s it started.
Mm-hmm.
Because, so essentially what would happen is like that, like, because I used to watch it with my grandmother. So Golden Girls would come on, then it would be like Murder, She Wrote right after, and then it was like, after Murder, She Wrote, it was Magnum P.I. and all of that stuff. And I think it was usually on a Saturday night that they would play this.
Yep.
Because Friday night was always TGIF when I was growing up.
Yep.
Like that block. Which almost all the child actors from those shows now have a podcast about being on those shows.
Yep.
And I'm starting to listen to them, and so it's like kind of fun to kind of go down memory lane watching those shows. And Bill actually watches, like, she doesn't have a new episode every week, but anyways, it's 11 o'clock, so I'm going to stop talking because I don't want to keep you from your doctor's appointment.
Hey, I will see you later.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.